It should be back up. It should be back up. It seems like it's getting back. It does seem like it's getting back. But I found the fucking culprit just now that is causing it in the fucking moment, bro. In the moment. Caught red-handed. I know now which program is causing that bullshit. Are we live now? Yeah, we should be live. Okay, guys, I can only apologize. Just that sigh of frustration. I am annoyed as fuck. Because when it's not the electricity, it's the fucking internet. It just never seemed like I can't catch a fucking break. Everything just keeps going wrong, and it doesn't seem like there's much that I can do about it. No, it's off topic, but new seat that the Winter Queen gave to Turanda is a Trojan horse. She made it look like the souls willingly sacrificed themselves, and the heartbeat is a massive devourer type tree. What is the best method to get Azeroth than have it planted in her? Roots planted in her. I think this explains why we went to the Shadowlands and why Teldrassil was burned. Natora, I do have a video planned around that. So we'll talk about it, but yes, you are correct. There's definitely something big going on there. Went directly to Steam to see if it was updating anything. No. Look, guys, whenever my strings, thank you so much for the follow, dude. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. Whenever my stream dies, just stick around. It should come back online. If my stream dies, it's almost always going to be my fault. You're not to blame. I'm running this Windows or WinMTR, and I can see exactly where the problem is as well. So I'm going to send this report to them, along with all the other reports that I've made so far. And I'm going to be like, fix your shit, bro. Like, fix your fucking shit. So hopefully we'll get it sorted at some point. Okay, so the last thing that we discussed, I think, was this. For example, a video from a 2010 Blizzard convention that went viral on social media in the wake of the lawsuit. In it, a female fan asked for women in World of Warcraft to not look like they stepped out of a Victoria's Secret catalog. A panel of Blizzard men, including former chief J. Allen Brack, laughed at the question, joking that they would look at other catalogs. I don't know. Like Mike Ybarra saying it saddens him to see that video. I don't know if I necessarily disagree. Because why is shit like this not a problem in Final Fantasy? Like, genuine, honest fucking question. Why does no one cry and scream about the incredible sex appeal of Final Fantasy characters? No one seems to make a fucking noise about that. No one seems to care. In fact, people love it. So, look, sex sells. And as a fat guy, I could sit here and pretend like, oh, yeah, girls love fat guys. But that's bullshit. That's obvious fucking bullshit. If you've got a six-pack and you've got nice pecs and you've got nice fucking biceps, you are instantly just more attractive and you have more sex appeal. It is as simple as that, right? Sex sells. People want sexy things. A sexy woman is always going to sell more than a fat one. It's just fucking simple logistics. It's human nature. A sexy guy is going to sell more than a fat guy. Again, it's simple. That's how it works. Now, of course, Blizzard's issues are contributing to this, and it makes it seem a lot bigger than what it actually is. But technically speaking, if this girl came up to me and she was like, hey, Strings, by the way, thanks for the first time chat, dude, really appreciate that, and it's more accepted in Eastern anime culture, yeah, but if it is more accepted in Eastern anime culture, you would still expect the Western culture to have an issue with this, yet we don't say shit to people don't complain about Final Fantasy. For me, personally, I would probably have told this girl just straight up, look, sex sells. If we gave people the option, if we did all of the work to allow people to play fat fucking characters in World of Warcraft, most people wouldn't play them. It's as simple as that. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm a fat guy myself. I have no problem with fat people whatsoever. But I can tell you right now, if you gave people the option to make a character that looks like me, very few people would actually play that character. Why the fuck would you want to play a round character? It makes no sense. What class is this character going to be? Why are you going to play someone that looks as if their arms and their legs are screwed onto each other? Kilturran males are like dad bod. It's not fat. It's more like a dad bod thing, which you can still get away with because it fits the aesthetic. Pandas are round, and we kind of like that because, you know, they're pandas. They're bears. They should be kind of round. But it's going to be underplayed. And why would you spend resources on that? It saddens me to see that video. The only thing that was bad about that video is the fact that they made fun of the girl. It's not bad because of, like, why they made fun of the girl. That's not bad. They made fun of her, which is not good because someone stands up in front of an entire audience and asks you a question and you think it good to have a laugh at their expense. Obviously, that's not very professional and you probably shouldn't do that. But they should have just taken charge and said, look, sorry, but we're not going to put in so much fucking effort to make a character that is fat for no one to fucking play it. Because no one dreams of being fat. No human being. The only people that pretend that it's okay to be fat are people that's too fucking lazy to do anything about it. That's it. The only people that want to go, oh yeah, fat acceptance and fat is beautiful, are people that's too fucking lazy to do something about it. Because it shouldn't be acceptable. It's unhealthy for you. It's not a good way to live. That's just how it goes, you know? And it's not attractive. It just isn't. That's not to say that there aren't bigger girls that are fucking sexy, because that does happen. In my opinion, I think girls can pull off being a little bit heavy a lot better than guys, in my opinion. But that might just be because I like girls, right? And you do get sexy fucking girls that is a little bit bigger, but still super fucking hot. But at the end of the day, you have to think about averages, and you have to think about how much money and time you're going to be spending designing and developing all these characters, only for very few people to actually play that, because the vast majority of people fantasize about being skinny. So no fat guy is going to play a fat guy in a fucking video game. They're going to make the guy that they always dreamt they could be if they just weren't so fucking lazy to actually get the six-pack. It's as simple as that. There's one fat character, Gragas. Gragas is a cool character, though. Like a drunken fat guy. Lysaria, thanks for the deal. What's up? Really appreciate that. 6 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How are you doing today? Lysaria, I'm ranting and raving as always. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Make the goal. We want to fuck? I don't make the goal that I want to fuck. I don't play female characters in video games. I'm a sexist, misogynist piece of shit. I only play male characters. Yes, because we have our fat on different places as men, being a bigger girl myself. I still have my curves. Ooh, yeah. Also, not every country have loads of fat fuckers like the USA. US of A, dude, I'm as fat as any American. Just gonna own that right now. I might not be from America, but I'm definitely within the fucking statistics. It reminds me of how important the culture work we have is, he says. It represents what I hope we are growing beyond. I know we will grow beyond. I don't think it ever ends. There's no high five that we made to our commitments. This is something that is going to be in our DNA forever. All right, if you fucking say so, bro. This is more personal for me. Ybarra is vocal in his video game fandom. He's active on Twitter, where he's just as likely to discuss retro video game box art as he is new Blizzard initiatives. On his Twitch channel, one can find him talking World of Warcraft or offering light commentary for video game hype events such as Microsoft's recent showcase of upcoming Xbox titles. He gleefully answers fan questions about the first game he ever played, Ultima Exodus, on Commodore 64. It was the first game that made me go, I know what my life is all about, he said. Before joining Blizzard, Ybarra spent more than 2 decades with Microsoft, where he was instrumental in developing the Xbox brand and expanding its game portfolio. This could have been a celebratory moment for Blizzard. Ybarra has just overseen his first major launch as president, the release of the mobile-focused Diablo Immortal. Oh my god, that is his legacy? Like, the first game that he oversees as a launch is Diablo Immortal. Bad. Not good at all, but okay. Although not without criticism, initial reviews lean positive. The game provides a swift and approachable introduction to the franchise, presenting a heavily detailed hellscape that's full of life and death. bringing a game like Diablo Immortal to market is why, in part, Ybarra joined the brand, founded by 3 UCLA students in Irvine in 1991. He says that when he joined Blizzard as a senior executive, he recognized, even then as an outsider, that a change needed to come. It's not about the position, the money, or anything like that, Ybarra says. This is more personal for me. These games, Ybarra says, have connected me with my best friends, lifelong friends. I have such incredible memories playing with World of Warcraft guilds 10, 15, 20 years ago. I saw an opportunity where Blizzard needed different leadership. Blizzard needed more transparency and a focus on culture. We needed, frankly, to serve our players with more content on a more frequent basis. When the phone rang, it gave me an opportunity to do that. How can I make an impact? How can the games and Blizzard as a company make an impact for the next 20 years like it has for me? That's why I'm here. I agree with everything you just said there. Because I do believe that, yes, Blizzard is one of the most recognizable names in video game history, right? I don't think there is a company that is more recognizable than Blizzard. There's a lot of people that aren't gamers that will probably not know anything about Ubisoft or anything about EA. But a lot of people, even non-gamers, have at least at one point in their lives heard about Blizzard Entertainment. Because it is a mainstay. It became a cultural phenomena. It's everywhere. So it's very difficult to overlook something like Blizzard Entertainment. And I think it's nice. Nintendo would probably be the other one. Yeah, Nintendo would also be one that's basically recognizable everywhere. And almost everyone, even if you don't play Nintendo games, knows about Nintendo. WoW than Blizzard. Yeah, but WoW, knowing about WoW still means that you know something about Blizzard. Even though you might not know the name, right? But you do know something because WoW it ultimately belongs to Blizzard. And I think that's nice. More content, more frequently. I love that. Let's keep with that. It's just sad that they're probably not going to ask him any hardball questions about Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal won't become one of those impactful games without some hitches. Since launching, the game has reignited a debate over monetization efforts and whether randomized items encourage predatory gambling-like behavior. The central argument is that it can be expensive to progress deep into the game, especially if one desires to compete with other players. When we think about monetization, at the very highest level, it was how do we give a free Diablo experience to hundreds of millions of people where they can literally do 99.5% of everything in the game? Can you, though? Can you do 99.5% of everything in the game without paying in Diablo Immortal? Because I'm pretty sure if you're not paying, it becomes harder and harder to get into the howl stuff. Like, as you go up in howl stuff. And I still think you would have made a lot of money with fewer fucking bullshit. So this seems like a huge sellout argument. I'll give you my thoughts as soon as we get deeper into it. Hopefully you keep saying something here. Yes, but far more weaker and grinding way much more. PvP is impossible. It gets really bad after. All right. So if they hook people with that trash, maybe they will come to the PC version. In a follow-up email, a Blizzard spokesperson noted that the vast majority of players are not spending money, although the company declined to offer specific stats. Ybarra says Blizzard is well aware of the gripes, but will defend the title by citing its high ratings and 110,000 plus user reviews on Apple's App Store, implying the complaints are not reflective of the broader game playing community. Additionally, the company says it has collected data that tells it about 50% of Immortal players are new to the Blizzard ecosystem. Well, yeah, of course, because it's a mobile game and Blizzard is finally doing mobile games. So 50% of the players would be fucking new to the Blizzard ecosystem. The problem is that 50% of those players are probably mobile-only Andes. So they're not going to play any of your PC games. They're just going to play the next thing that comes out on mobile that you use a game to fleece them. That's basically all this is gonna do. Aragos, how you doing, brother? See, get them hooked. Yeah, I don't mind the fact that they're trying to get them hooked. My biggest issue with this is if you just looked at Diablo Immortal and you said, all right, we want to give people a free gaming experience, but we also want to make some money. You could have done that absolutely, and no one would argue. I have always said when it's a free game, I expect some monetization options within the store. That's perfectly fine. The problem is the level to which you've done it. Do not fucking tell me, because his answer here suggests that if they didn't do the predatory monetization that they did for Diablo Immortal, then Diablo Immortal would not have been fucking free. Like, this is the only way that they could have made it free, is by making it $100,000 to actually fully gear yourself out. Fucking bullshit, Mike. Fucking bullshit. That is obvious tripe. You could have made it a lot cheaper. You could have done it for like 10,000 fucking dollars to max yourself out if you want to be a real fucking whale, and you would have still made a shit ton of fucking money. The problem is that in order to get yourself maxed out, if you want all the gear in the game, it is technically, or at least virtually, impossible to do so as a free-to-play player. So your argument is bullshit, because there's a lot of other free-to-play games out there that have monetization options that isn't anywhere near as scumbag as yours. How are they capable of doing a free-to-play experience and make money, and you're telling me you can't? Path of Exile comes to mind as a free-to-play fucking video game that makes a ton of money and doesn't need this. So what the fuck is this sentence? When we think about monetization at the very highest level, it was, how do we give a free Diablo experience to hundreds of millions of people where they can literally do 99.5% of everything in the game, suggesting that unless they were the scumbag, they wouldn't have been able to give people a free Diablo experience. Obvious fucking tripe. Obvious. The monetization comes in at the end game, Yabara says. The philosophy was always to lead with great gameplay and make sure that hundreds of millions of people can go through the whole campaign without any costs. From that standpoint, I feel really good about it as an introduction to Diablo. Yeah, sure, bro. The whole point, oh, for the love of all things that's fucking good and holy. So where do ARPGs gameplay actually usually start? It's endgame. ARPGs is all about the fucking endgame. The actual way to get to endgame in ARPGs tend to be rather sort of monotone and boring. Retro Bonus, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the follow, really appreciate that. It's all about the endgame. It's all about that optimization. It is ultimately a looter shooter in a different genre. It's all about the loot. It's all about optimizing the loot, and it's all about getting the perfect fucking loot, the perfect build that ultimately allows you to do the hardest stuff in the game. That's what ARPGs have become. It's not about the story, not really. It's not about the immersion, not really. It's all about getting to that elusive fucking endgame, as literally the case of every single ARPG on the market today. It's not about the journey, it's about the destination. So if you say that the players can go through the entire journey for free, but then the destination, which is literally the thing that the game is meant to be, there's where you have to start paying, then you're not really, it's not a free-to-play game. You've given people the introduction for free, but they have to pay for the actual fucking game. And there, you're not charging them $60 for the actual game. No, you're charging them hundreds of thousands of dollars for the actual game. So Mike Ybarra, that's bullshit. Where Ybarra is critical is the length of time between 2012's Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal. He said the company missed out on nearly a generation of gamers. I legit think... it would have made more money if the game wasn't so predatory. Of course they would. If the game had... So, the only game that I have ever spent money on, ever, is League of Legends. I have never bought a single piece of anything in a cash shop ever for any other fucking game. The only game that I've ever supported their cash shop for is League of Legends. And the only reason I don't mind spending money on League of Legends is it's a completely free game. The vast majority of money that you're ever going to spend there is on cosmetics or buying champions if you don't want to play the games. But it's not even that hard to just play the game and then buy the champions, because they don't release champions every week. It's like usually every month, 2 months that you get a new champion. And if you're just playing the game like most people play League of Legends, you have more than enough points from the in-game currency to buy every single champ that launches in the game. So it's really a cash shop that is built around the idea of everyone gets their fair share, everyone can play almost every champion in the game, and the only thing that you really want to spend money on is cosmetics. and I'm more than happy to spend a couple of dollars here and there. I will never spend on something like Diablo Immortal because it's not just trying to make money, it's trying to make all the money. And as soon as I see that, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm fucking out. That's not happening. Noctis, thanks for the first time chat, dude. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it is basically a glorified demo at that point. Isn't it all toxic as hell? Yeah, but it's still fun. Immortal is so heavily monetized that it makes you say, why bother? Give any money at all? And people quit. Yeah. Look, again, we have to talk about psychology, and I think this is where Blizzard is sort of missing the point. Psychologically speaking, if someone knows that it's going to cost them, say, $1,000 to reach max level and get all the stuff done, and you have a game that is 100,000 in order to get the best stuff in the game, which game do you think people are going to be more willing to actually spend money on? Because we're talking about, so let's say you have a game, Diablo Immortal launched, and you could theoretically, with about $1,000 spent and a decent amount of playtime, you could get fully geared. And then in another universe, we have Diablo Immortal that launched that where the average spend, and that considers you have a 50% drop chance on everything, the average spend will be over $100,000. Which one of those games do you think people are going to be more likely to spend money in? Inquisitorium, how you doing, bro? Want to get your shit in that game? Strings, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. From a psychological standpoint, if there's a theoretical chance, so for example, if you build the game in a way where it's probably going to be more than $1,000 in order to get gear, but there is a chance that you could get everything you need with $1,000, you're going to be like, all right, I'm not going to spend $1,000, not outright. I might do over a couple of months, but I'll buy a couple of things off the store just to get myself some gear, because $1,000, it's a lot, but over 12 months, that's not that much. You look at something where you know it's going to be over $100,000, and you immediately go, well, I'm never spending $100,000, so I'm not even going to spend $1. Because $1 is going to get me fuck all. I'm not spending $100,000, so there's no amount of money that I'm willing to spend money on, or that I'm willing to pay for, because I'm not willing to pay the max in order to actually get geared. That's the issue. Diablo Immortal is actually, they've charged so much money that they've basically dissuaded anyone or most people from actually being willing to spend money on the game. And that's a psychological thing. It's just every human is going to respond that way in one way, shape, or form, unless you're a whale and you have no responsibility and you just spend money on bullshit. Thorwald, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the prime sub. Really appreciate that. 6 months. 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They can't even nerf it because it would disrespect the people. Yeah, you're pretty much in a fucking, catch-22. Although I would say fuck the people that spend $100,000. By the way, Akko, it costs $550K to max your character on Diablo Immortal, not $110K. Yeah, I heard it actually goes up even more if you want to do all the resonance stuff as well. Generation of Gamers, he says that Blizzard teams are being realigned to deliver content more consistently across devices, including PC and console, and today, mobile. A pipeline of Diablo product is in development, with the 4th core edition arriving next year. Blizzard recently acquired Boston studio Proletariat in an effort to expand its World of Warcraft team and content. Blizzard says it intends to hire hundreds of developers in the wake of the purchase. My hope is we evolve these franchises to deliver great experiences to players on a more regular basis, but also expand our universes across devices, Yamara says. Just releasing games on PC doesn't serve people playing games today. Fuck you, it does. It does. 100%. If you just release games on PC, it serves all the gamers that matter. Like, the other ones, not really that much. They don't matter, right? So I would say, yeah, just focus on PC, bro. Experience, deliver a fucking game. The investor bought a company called Proletariat. Yeah, pretty much, right? The irony is not lost on me, Strings. But so I'm not a huge fan of the way in which Blizzard wants to deliver more content. Because it keeps going back to the Activision level of thinking. Activision does this, by the way. Activision believes that if you want more content, just hire more people. Because for some reason, 500 developers, which is about how many developers work on World of Warcraft, isn't enough to deliver content every 3 months. Even though, Final Fantasy seems to be doing well with half the amount of developers, probably less than half of the developers of World of Warcraft. Final Fantasy seems to be delivering a shit ton of content on a very regular basis. Whereas World of Warcraft's idea is that 500 developers isn't enough to deliver content on a regular basis without, of course, having a 9-month fucking break between content patches. Instead, maybe 1,000 will do the trick. And if 1,000 doesn't do the trick, maybe 1,500 will do the trick. And if that doesn't do the trick, then maybe 4,000 will do the trick. The answer is you have too many fucking developers working on World of Warcraft. As simple as that. You have too many people. There's too many people at that company. No one knows anyone, and it is actually slowing down your work. But hey, keep hiring, keep fucking hiring, keep going, because ultimately that's going to fix the problem. Because 500 didn't do it. I wonder what number will they finally reach before they realize, oh, wait, maybe we have too many cooks in the kitchen here. My hope is we evolve these franchises to deliver great experiences to players on a more regular basis, but also expand our universes across devices, Yabara says. Just releasing games on PC doesn't serve anyone. Yabara has also committed to relaunching BlizzCon, the company's yearly fan-focused event at the Anaheim Convention Center. A digitally focused 2022 BlizzCon was axed shortly after the filing of the DFEH suit. We previously announced we're taking a pause on BlizzCon while we reimagine it for the future, but do want to return to a live event that enables us to celebrate the community, Yabara says. We recently hired a new leader of BlizzCon, April McKee, who is hard at work on that plan. We are committed to bringing BlizzCon back in 2023. Culture was really awkward to talk about. The discourse surrounding Diablo Immortal's monetization schemes signaled that Blizzard products still hold sway over the public. No doubt, when Overwatch 2 is released this fall, Blizzard would like the narrative to be focused on the game's content rather than its culture. For now, they're intertwined. It's going to be all rainbows and fruit baskets. So they go quantity over quality. Let's hope they won't dilute their creative vision. Of course they won't. I think the World of Warcraft team is one of the largest teams in video game history. I don't think there's many games that have a larger team than the World of Warcraft team. And it's also one of the most inefficient teams. So let's compare. The most recent announcement for 6.2 in Final Fantasy brings with it an absolute plethora of content. The MSQ is being sort of increased. You have the islands, the new personal islands that's launching, a new dungeon type that's launching. They're inching their way ever more closely to what I speculate to be Mythic Plus in Final Fantasy. A new raid wing is going live. There's new stories with Tataru going live. It's just a fuck up of content that's coming with the new 6.2. It has less developers, far less developers than World of Warcraft. Now, let's compare that to Korthia 9.1. After 9 months of content drought, Blizzard delivered Korthia. What came in Korthia? A slight revamp to Torghast, but, Torghast nonetheless. And Hildy stuff, Relic weapons, all that stuff is also coming. So it's like a shit ton of content for 6.2. Korthia, which was like the Taint of Secrets, I guess you could call it. The raid, Halls of Domination, and they kind of expanded a little bit of the Covenants, and maybe a couple of new conduits. So, I mean, who had more content? If we're really going to break it down, who had more fucking content? And you have one company that has less developers working on their game, but they're able to deliver more content more frequently. And the other one has just a fuck up, right? Sorry, I don't necessarily agree with the polish part, but hey, we all like different things. This power, you will need it. Taint of Secrets, and we didn't find many other than the jailer, says that every soul has its place. True. They specialize in stories, which doesn't take long to develop. It just takes skill. Yeah, and 6.2 has story, but it also has a shit ton of other things that has nothing to do with story. I would say Final Fantasy actually specializes on quite a few things that it gets really well, but the one thing that I would actually say they specialize in is casual content. They have a shit ton of casual content in their game. However, the allegations of sexual harassment, says gaming analyst, may be tough to overcome, adding that fans were previously growing wary with trickling content from the company. Over the last several years, there's been a broader discontent. Current and former Activision Blizzard staffers were contacted for this story. One question that came up was what actions Ybarra would take specifically in regards to working with those who report to him to ensure that the accusations that permeate the lawsuit will no longer occur. We have taken 2 or 3 key people who identify as women across every team, and I meet monthly with them, Ybarra says. We talk about what will make Blizzard great for women. Our hope is that employees recognize these changes and people start feeling more safe and more comfortable here. Ybarra stresses that these meetings are not executive level staff. There's a brand new hire in one. There's director level people in there. I can still tell that emailing the president is a big deal. In the days following the DFEH lawsuit, employees staged a walkout. In order to lead this organization effectively, I need to be out and understand all the perspectives here, Ybarra said. I was out there to talk to the employees and show that I hear them and I understand their feedback. Of course, that's what you did. I like that he's not running from the questions about this stuff. What I don't like is the fact that the questions are so fucking softball. Like, where's the pushback? Let's just talk about the Diablo Immortal questions. He says, oh yeah, this is, we couldn't bring a free-to-play Diablo Immortal unless we were complete scumbags in how we monetize it. If you were an actual reporter, you would push back. You would instantly push back and be like, wait, what? So what about Path of Exile? It brings an amazing free-to-play experience to all players, and it doesn't have anywhere near your scumbag fucking levels of monetization. How do you explain that? League of Legends, it does a great free-to-play experience, and it doesn't have anywhere near your scumbag levels of monetization. So please, Mr. Ybarra, answer the fucking question. What about the monetization of Diablo Immortal justifies the amount of money that it costs in order to get... This is not journalism. This is basically the journalist going in, loving the free cookies and milk that they get at Blizzard Entertainment, and then just writing whatever the fuck Mike Ybarra tells them, and obviously getting some kind of kickback at the end of the month because, hey, you asked me questions, I answered them, and people thought I'd look really good. This is fucking bullshit, though, dude. I hate modern day journalists because they don't do their fucking jobs. None of them. They're supposed to be the people that hold these fucks to account, and yet they're the people that fucking lie on behalf of these people. Like, the journalists today are in the pockets of the corporations telling us not to worry because the corporations aren't fucking us while their dicks are inside our assholes. Like, literally standing in front of you as the tears run down your face from a 10-inch fucking cock just being pushed up your anus and going, no, this is not rape. It's just sex. It's not rape. Dry your eyes, mate. Just fucking tap it down. Tap it down. This isn't rape. Don't worry about it. You're good. That's exactly what the modern day journalists are like. In order to lead this organization effectively, understand the perspective. Ybarra believes Blizzard has addressed or is in the process of addressing the employee demands within his control. Activision Blizzard, as outlined in its most recent SEC filing, has waived arbitration for individual claims of sexual harassment, unlawful discrimination, or related retaliation occurring after October 2021. It also banned workplace alcohol consumption, as one of the key contentions of the suit was a frat-like office atmosphere. Yeah, that's very good. Speaking directly of Blizzard, Ybarra says recent hires at the company, namely Disney veterans Jessica Martinez as Vice President of Culture and Micaiah Brown as Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Lead, are altering everything from its hiring practices to its approach to game content, ensuring games more accurately represents the breadth of the audience playing them. There was a time where culture was really awkward to talk about because, frankly, Blizzard didn't talk about it enough. We talk about it every single staff meeting now. In our battle plans, all staff meetings, we lead with culture and then we get to product. Yeah, all right, whatever the fuck you feel like. Of new hires, 30% identify as women, Ybarra says. I wish it was 50-50. We strive to represent what the world looks like, Ybarra says. Adding that, yeah, it just so happens that it could never be 50-50 because more men will almost always go into video game design than women. So at some point, you're going to have to start taking the brunt of the litter because there's just not that many women going into video games yet. This could be for a number of reasons. I don't know the fucking reasons, but we do know that not as many women go into video game design as men do. And also not as many women go into the same kind of video games as men do. Like, there's different likes, there's different dislikes, there's different things that people care about. So, it is what it is. Ybarra says, adding that it's no longer acceptable to simply be interviewing white men. All right. Okay. At the time the DFEH lawsuit was filed, the papers claimed Activision Blizzard as a whole was 80% male. Blizzard is currently 77% male, says the company spoke. Oh my god. I don't give a fuck, by the way. It could be 100% male if the games are actually good. It could be 100% female if the game is actually good. I couldn't give two fucks about the gender of the person that makes the game. As long as the fucking game is good, I do not care. But this is the most low-hanging fruit ever to boast about, right? Yeah, since that time, we have now 3% less men and 3% more women. All right, fuck, dude, that's great. So happy for you. Ybarra says he's committed to ensuring men and women receive equal pay, a central tenet of the lawsuit and an embarrassing moment for Blizzard when the Wall Street Journal reported that Jennifer O'Neill, once Ybarra's equal, received lesser pay. O'Neill declined to comment for this piece. I loved working with Jen, Ybarra says. She's a great leader, and some of the things Jen and I talked about late at night in our office have been implemented across culture and across product. I can't comment, nor would I, on someone else's pay, but I can say it's critical to me that here at Blizzard, that we pay equal for equal work. Activision Blizzard says in its SEC finding that it found that female employees on average earn about $1.1 for every dollar earned by men doing comparable work. Oh, so women get, what, more? Well, that's an outrage. That's an outrage. We men should rise up. We're getting 1 cent less than the woman. Some staff have criticized the salary audit as vague and embellished. No, actually, it aligns with all of the other salary audits. If you actually dive into the real science of salaries, it actually does turn out that in most companies, women tend to earn more than men for the exact same work. If you go by the exact same qualifications and the exact same jobs held. Even Google found this. For those of you that don't know, about 4 years ago, 4 women at Google sued Google because they claimed that men were being paid more than women. Google then went on a massive fucking tirade, and they did an entire internal audit as well as an external audit from a company appointed by the courts, and both of those fucking audits found, surprise, surprise, actually men earn far less than women at Google for the same work for the same position. So, yeah, the narrative is fucking broken, but anyways, who cares? No one is actually educated on this shit, so who cares? I would say there's a segment of people that wishes everybody's pay was on a spreadsheet somewhere, Ybarra says. There's obviously reasons we can't do that, but we are listening to employees. When current and former staff were asked if they believed Ybarra could lead a culture revamp, they were hopeful but skeptical, although that skepticism appeared less to do with Ybarra and more about perceived long-standing missteps. Activision Blizzard has pledged other changes. Dude, how the fuck? This is the most horrible fucking article I've ever read in my life. It's just basically a history of all the things that went fucking wrong. Yeah, Google is a den of vipers, pour gasoline down the hole and light a match. Oof. That whole one difference is Jessica Martinez's salary. Strings, I fucking like that. Yeah, people purposely same job, same time, and same experiences, but people literally... the only way you really get to a salary difference is when you ignore things like hours worked. Like, people will sometimes look at, say, for example, a male manager and a female manager that's basically the same manager on the same level. And they'll be like, oh my God, the man is making $2,000 and the woman is only making $1,500. But then if you include the hours that the man is actually working compared to what the woman is working, you find that the man is working a lot more hours. So they'll stay after work, they'll work much harder and whatever the case may be. And, you know, at that point, it's not really same money for the same amount of work because I am working more hours than you. A centralized ethics and compliance team, and a third-party operator confidential site to anonymously report grievances. This is a systemic issue, says video game historian. And the problem with systemic issues is you can have individual people trying to do good, but they're in a bad system. It takes a lot to disrupt a bad system and a lot of people working together, and it's not fair to lay it on one person's feet to fix that. Less than a year on the job as a president, it's too soon to think about legacy. But it's on Ybarra's mind. When asked to describe his leadership style, Ybarra speaks to the moment, describing his role as a stabilizer. It really... Okay, I can't fucking read this anymore. You guys can finish it if you want. But this really is just the lowest hanging of the lowest hanging fruit I've ever seen in a fucking interview ever. Like, there's no hardball questions. There's just... It's basically, yeah, I'll ask you something and we'll pretend like it's an interesting answer that you're giving me. I'm not going to push back on anything because that's not my job. I am just a journalist. I should not be bringing you the truth. I should be... This is quite legitimately... like, who is the fucking person that wrote this? So Todd Martins. Is Todd Martins the one who wrote this? I think so. So Todd Martins, literally just a mouthpiece for Activision Blizzard at this point. This entire article is just him repeating whatever the fuck Mike Ybarra said without any pushback whatsoever. Even on the things that Mike Ybarra said that deserved at least a little pushback. It's, yeah, what the fuck is this guy being paid for? Like, Jesus. That's just bad. He answers tougher questions than this on Twitch. Yeah, but there should be pushback, right? When you're asking a question and the guy gives you a clearly bullshit answer, you should push back and you should be like, wait, what? Wait, I don't agree with that at all. What are you saying? It's bullshit. That's what this is. Will not change anything. Microsoft is not clued in onto why WoW is failing. I think Microsoft might actually have an idea. Look, Phil Spencer is not a moron. Phil Spencer is not an idiot. So I think they might know more than what you think. Dude, this fucking little... I don't know what it's called. Fruit fly kind of thing. Wow, Flinroinky's just coming up there straight away with the attack against Maine. That's horrible. Smack my monitor. Why, Danger Up? All Blizzard needs to do is to create good games and not treat their employees and customers like shit. Agreed. Fucking agreed. Thought it was a nat year. No, it's in my face and it is fucking annoying. People for life with a single bite? Yeah, but we don't have tsetse flies in South Africa, so we're good. We have an idiom in France about journalists. A journalist is a prostitute or unemployed. Easy. I kind of like that. I definitely don't mind that one. No, I mean, the video game journalist scene is a mess. So I don't expect video game journalists to really ever dive into this shit. I would have hoped that something like the LA Times, which is still like supposed to be an official like news outlet, would have better journalists, but I'm of course wrong about that. Do enjoy your YouTube content. Had it pop in my recommendations past 2 weeks. Good to catch you live for the first time, Mr. Bongi. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm very happy to have you here, and I'm glad that you enjoy the content. Not Todd, he's paid by Activision Blizzard. The LA Times is kind of known for just having clickbait titles too, though. Yeah, but LA is kind of known for just being a clickbait state, right? Or California in general. It's just one big clickbait. You go there and you realize, wait, this is shit. I would never live in California. Like, fucking never. If I ever moved to the US, California would be the one place that I wouldn't go. Not even to fucking visit. That place just seems like a hellhole. Ybarra is just playing smoke and mirrors. No quality on their games, and so they focus their attention to diversity so they can get some pats on the back. Telecan, I don't mind diversity. I do mind diversity for diversity's sake. Because you shouldn't just... Look, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is... hiring based on some kind of ideological principle. Hire the best people for the job. And the one thing that I agree with when it comes to diversity is to ensure that if the best person for the job is black or brown or a woman or Asian or whatever the case might be, then they should be hired. So this is where diversity should come in, to ensure that you don't keep the best applicant of the role because they're not the right skin color. But when you just start hiring because you need to fill some fucking kind of quota, what happens if 20 people apply and 15 of them are white, 5 of them are black, but 4 of the 5 are completely fucking useless? But you have to hire 5 new people today. And you can't hire white people because you have too many white people, so you have to hire black people. Or let's make this even harder, because this is still an easy one. A lot of people say, well, fuck the white people, just get the black people in. Let's make this even harder. You have 20 people that apply for the same job. Of the 20 people, 10 people are Asian, 5 people are white, right? And 5 people are black. Of the black people, 4 are bad. Of the white people, 4 are bad. Of the Asians, 9 are bad. So technically speaking, you have 3 good applicants. 1 white, 1 black, 1 Asian. You would hire those 3 because they're the good ones. The others are quite fucking bad. But you have to hire 5 people, and you cannot hire white people because, diversity and inclusion shit. All right, so you're going to hire 2 good people, and then you're going to hire 3 bad people. Well, you could have done 3 good people and only 2, whoever was the least bad of the bad bunch. That's my problem with diversity and inclusion hiring. It never focuses on the actual reason why you need it. It tries to force different metrics, and you end up letting go of people that's really good and could be really good for your company, and going down a road where you're forced to take the runt of the litter, so to speak. If you have to hire 1, you flip a coin. Dude, I think that must be the hardest thing. If you can only hire 1 person, but you have 4 people that's absolutely incredible at the job, right? And you're like, fuck, who do I take here? If you can't hire the best because of woke politics, then you lose good staff to competitors. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want white people to be hired if they're not good at what they do. I would never hire someone that's not good at what they do. I don't give a fuck about your skin color. If you're good at what you do, I want you to work on my video game. That's it. If you are good at video game design, I want you to make the video game because I want a good game. Simple as that. Someone asked hey, if someone that is colored, that has the same qualifications and they want to work here, please have them apply. Yeah, well, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, because I don't know how it ends. What is the end result of this? Where does this end? The liberalist rhetoric, it's about not discriminating based on gender, color, race in the selection process, not hiring for diversity. Patch, I'm 100% with, like I said, I am for diversity and inclusion because I think it almost always leads to better products. Having different mindsets and different viewpoints is a good thing. But it has to be approached in the right way, right? Your diversity and inclusion should stop. What's the English word for it? It should serve to stop discrimination within the hiring process. It should not discriminate within the hiring process. I think the implementation is just to win points. That's all it is nowadays. Most of these companies just want to win some quick points. And that's why they do the implementation the way that they do. That's my opinion, at least. Everyone's going to have their own opinions on shit. I don't know what the right answer is, obviously. Because I'm just a fat fuck talking about video games in my bedroom. So really, who knows? Maybe one of you have the answer to fixing the world's fucking problems. So I want to watch something right now that I've wanted to watch since the beginning of the stream. It popped up. It's probably going to be like not for everyone, but this is the kind of shit that I live for, bro. The second you discard a good candidate because of their skin color, the system is shit and it's racism, period. Niara, absolutely agree with you. So this video, I love this guy, by the way. It doesn't end well. Are you prepared for deflation? The true black swan. I can tell you from experience that in my last company that had 3 people, which 2 of them were women, they didn't do well during interview, but they wanted more women in company. How are they now that they're working for the company, though, Mr. Bongi? Still bad, or are they actually decent?
Are you prepared for deflation? That's right. I said deflation. We have to remember, we live in a world of probabilities, not certainties. And although my base case is that we go through long-term stagflation, it doesn't mean that in the interim, we can't have bouts of deflation, where price...
Deflation is actually worse, I think. According to a lot of economists, deflation is actually worse than inflation.
Especially asset prices, come crashing down. And like I said, although it's not my base case, I think there is a very strong argument for deflation. I'm going to reveal that to you right now in 3 simple, fast steps. Step number 1, let's go over the wealth effect, or in this case, the reverse wealth effect.
Yeah.
To understand this concept,
that's exactly it. I'm reverse wealthy. That's it. I'm reverse wealthy. Sell before deflation, buy after it.
To the clip from Investopedia.
The wealth effect is a psychological phenomenon that causes people to spend more as the value of their assets rises. The premise is that when consumers' homes or investment portfolios increase in value, they feel more financially secure, so they increase their spending. Conversely, when consumers see the value of their homes or portfolios fall, they tend to spend less. The wealth effect attempts to explain why consumers might change their spending habits even if their income and fixed costs have stayed the same.
This is what I spoke about yesterday as well as earlier today with the video game industry. It's right now the party is going. You know, all the video game companies are making mad bucks. Cash shop games are everywhere and they're making crazy money. But that's because everyone's been making crazy money. You know, the bubbles are just massive. The stonks just kept growing. To the moon was a massive thing. Governments were printing money as if it was going out of fucking style. So people were swimming in cash. And this meant that people could really splurge on all of these video games. But now, if things were to turn around, you would get to a place where, well, suddenly I don't have money. And now I start going, I feel less comfortable in spending that money. Yeah, shit, going to the moon, exactly. Like you could buy land or for a house for 1 month's salary. This kind of happened in Hungary when the Russians went out. At least a lot of land was going for chump change. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in inflation as well as in deflation. You just have to know where to look for it.
Here is an example of how the wealth effect works. Kiki purchased a house for $300,000 in 2007. She earned a $100,000 salary, and her average expenses, including housing, were $75,000 per year. In 2008, the Great Recession lowered her home's value to $260,000. Kiki's income was still $100,000 and her expenses were still $75,000. But she cut back on her variable expenses because she was concerned about the drop in her home equity. She started spending $60,000 a year instead of $75,000. In 2013, when her home's value rebounded and grew to $320,000, Kiki felt more secure as her home equity increased. While her income was still $100,000 adjusted for inflation, she increased her spending to $85,000 because of her newfound sense of wealth.
And this does happen. This does happen. There's actually a massive correlation between housing prices and the perceived amount of money that people would be willing to spend in a month. Because most people look at their house as the most important asset that they own. Buy a Dragonflight pre-order or pay for a 6-month sub? Samurai, neither. Why would you do either of those two things?
So right off the bat, I think the example used with Kiki, or whatever her name was, isn't that great. It describes what most economists consider the wealth effect. So that's good. But I don't think their definition or their view, their concept of how this works is accurate at all. I think it's very incomplete, to say the least. First and foremost, they gave the example of her house going down during the GFC to 260,000 from 300. Yeah, guess again. Try going down from 300 down to about 160. If you remember the GFC and prices going down from 2006 all the way to 2012. Another thing that I think made it a little less than accurate was they only...
Look, if you know, so I would say if you know you're going to play Dragonflight no matter what, and you want to do it now while you still have cash and you know you're going to be spending a lot of money later in the year and you don't really know if you want to be spending that money later in the year, then yeah, sure, pre-order the game. I'm not going to stand in your way. I would prefer if pre-orders didn't exist at all. But I'm not going to judge someone who actually does just pre-order the game because they know they're going to be playing it. There, I have a much bigger problem. If we're arguing between two things, so Samurai, to some of yours, if you ask me my opinion on a 6-month sub versus the pre-order, I'd much rather you pre-order but only pay a monthly sub. The 6-month sub, as far as I'm concerned, is just a schmoz in terms of World of Warcraft because it guarantees Blizzard 6-month money, even though they don't have to deliver content within those 6 months. So I would much rather you pre-order but only pay month to month and only pay if you're actually, getting content and you're actually playing. Like, immediately stop paying as soon as you stop playing as well, because you can always resub later on, right? Well, mobile supposed to be pay to win too, like Diablo Immortal. Avalanche, I mean, it's always going to be, right? I think the actual pre-order bonus is trash, which is only the one paid. If you pay beforehand, you're incentivized scamming you on the final quality of the product. Pre-order died for me when I didn't have to buy a physical disc.
Really
physical discs that make pre-order cool.
The psychological impact of the spending that Kiki was doing. Her income stayed the same, okay, fine. But then they said the main component
I don't think it's launched yet.
Is Kiki spending less or is she spending more? If she's spending less, then this could have a negative impact on the economy, the reverse wealth effect. And if she is spending...
Dude, this is actually... I was watching this economist explain this last night, actually. This is actually one of the worst things about inflation. Inflation is kind of like a self-fulfilled prophecy. So as fears grow of inflation, even though technically speaking, the country, America, is technically not in a recession. Not yet. Technically speaking, America is not in a recession because a recession is when you have negative growth 2 quarters in a row. Right? The second quarter have not been announced yet. So technically speaking, America is not yet within a recession. But as fears grow of a recession, people stop spending money because they're afraid of a recession. The fact that they stop spending money drives the economy towards a recession because they're spending less money, meaning that the country is going to see negative growth because without people spending money, there isn't going to be positive growth. And this then drives the country into a recession. Recessions then grow inflation fears. Because inflation fears keep growing, companies start getting more and more bearish on buying things and buying product because they're afraid of these recessions coming. So they'd rather hike their prices a little and have fewer stock on hand. This then grows inflation, and before you know it, you have high inflation and you have a recession, and it's basically all been like psychological. It's a psychological effect. You've plunged yourself into this recession, and now you're dealing with a real recession, even though the reason for the recession is psychological. So basically, by the time people start fearing a recession, you're already fucked.
More than this has a positive impact on the economy. Typical mainstream Keynesian economics, where they only focus on the demand side of the equation. But like I said, my biggest problem with the video is how incomplete it was when you think about the impact asset prices like housing and the stock market have on the overall economy. To illustrate my point, let's go over what I think is a little bit better example. So instead of Kiki, we've got everyone's favorite Moody the millennial. And Moody wants to buy a house because they think that prices always go up. Prices have been going up since 2012, and we know that this is a really
that's
smart
that
investment.
fallacy,
So
right? Housing
Moody
prices are
creates
just always going to
demand.
go up.
Okay, well, let's just pretend for a moment that the house hasn't been built. So insert Builder Bob. He comes in with all of his workers to build this house because he sees that demand is outstripping supply. So he sees a...
This is heavily happening in Cape Town right now, by the way. Cape Town has an incredible demand as people are semigrating to the Western Cape at an alarming rate. So all over the country, people are moving to the Western Cape because the Western Cape is the only province in South Africa that is mildly competently run. The issue is there's no fucking supply. Houses are in incredible short supply in the Western Cape. So prices are fucking high in the Western Cape, and builders are building everywhere. Like wherever I go, wherever I drive, there's like apartment complexes going up and townhouse complexes going up. It's just everywhere. Builders are having the time of their lives in Cape Town because they know there's massive demand, very little supply. The issue is what happens when this turns around, which is currently happening. My government, my central bank here, is consistently upping interest rates. At some point, the interest rates are going to get high enough to the point where people no longer want to buy homes because it's too expensive to do. As soon as that shifts, and this is what I'm waiting for, the housing market crashes. And when the housing market crashes, you can pick up really good property. So we just found a property in the preferred town, the town that I actually want to move to. The lady let us know just yesterday. This house is 1,000 square meters, so it's a massive yard. The house is relatively small, but it's a decent house. It's an older house. Massive yard, smallish house, but you can always just increase this. You can always build more on the property. Swellendam, Flindroinkies. The house is 1.5 million rand, which is fucking cheap. It is very cheap. That's like, in dollar cents, it's about, let's say, $85,000 for the property. $85,000, which is so fucking cheap. We're probably going on Sunday to go look at the house, and if it's not falling apart, we'll probably buy that.
Profit opportunity. So after the house is built, Moody comes in and wants to buy it. Now, unfortunately, they don't have enough to pay for it in cash, so they have to go to the mortgage broker. Well, this is Mortgage Mike, so he comes in, gives the mortgage to Moody, so they can go ahead and buy the house, let's say directly from Builder Bob. So Mortgage Mike is making money off of this transaction.
He's saying Moody, but
pays Bob
yeah.
the builder. He makes a profit.
I hear Moody too.
He pays his employees, and they make money.
Yeah.
Their purchasing power increases. That's not all, because Mortgage Mike is really just the originator of the loan.
Yeah.
Who's creating the additional money supply is the bank. So then the bank is also making money on the transaction, and therefore their share price most likely goes up. They're doing more business. So their shareholders also have more purchasing power. But that's not where the story ends, because the bank doesn't keep that loan on their balance sheet. Oh, no, no, no. They sell it to Fannie and Freddie. They turn it into a mortgage-backed sausage, what I call it, mortgage-backed security, by the way. That goes to a pension fund. The pension fund then makes a return on that because Moody is making their payments every single month.
This is the housing crisis. This is how it started.
And they use that profit or that return.
How did they not? Okay, I just want to ask, how after 2008 did we not realize that mortgage-backed securities is probably not a good idea? How the fuck did that happen? After what happened in 2008 and we saw the incredible results of mortgage-backed securities fucking the world, how did governments around the world not step in and say, all right, no more of this bullshit? No more of this bullshit. If you give out a home loan, the money you make is from the person paying back the fucking loan with the interest that you're charging. Did they really add that many restrictions? From what I know, the restrictions were actually fairly fucking minimal. People typically do minimal research and just go, oh, I can make money on this. Let me just do this more. That is the issue. This is literally the issue that I have with the modern corporate system that we have. The modern corporate system is one that only thinks short term. It never thinks about the long-term implications of anything that they do. The banks don't for a second think, wait a second, if these things crash, we cause a crash within the world. Like the world crashes as a result of our shit. They just do it because who gives a fuck, right? Look, when you're receiving very cheap houses as gifts, you will just ignore the issue. True, someone wants to gift me a fucking house, I'm taking it, bro. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. Some people gifted me some games on Steam today, Sun Goddess and also Robotic. Someone else gifted me a God of War. Who gifted me God of War again? Fuck. Name escapes me now. Someone literally gifted me Game of War today. God of War, actually. Thrall's Mama. Sorry. Yes, Thrall's Mama gifted me God of War. So sorry. Thrall's Mama. I completely fucking... Names and me, not the best of friends. But people gifted me games today, and I will fucking take it. I will 100% take it. If you want to gift me a house, I'm fucking taking it. You bet your ass I'm taking it. So politicians get bribed. Corporations don't get regulated. That My Little Pony game is the real gift that keeps on giving. Swanky Tiger, we're not talking about that. We're not mentioning that.
The pensioners who use that to go into the economy and buy more goods and services. So just because the price of housing has gone up, which prompted Moody to go out there and buy, all of these individuals involved, Mortgage Mike, Builder Bob, the workers, the pension fund pensioners, the bank, the shareholders, all of them have additional purchasing power to go in the economy and buy goods and services. And one thing the Keynesians do get right is one man's spending is another man's income.
True.
So again, by these home prices or stock prices going up and up and up and up, it creates more economic activity. So if home prices or stock prices or crypto prices
fuck you, King Julian. I'm not a brony.
Down, because the Fed is trying to create a reverse wealth effect to increase unemployment. Why? To bring down CPI. We could have a dramatic decrease. They could overshoot. Remember, they overshot inflation. So why on earth couldn't they overshoot deflation or overshoot the reverse wealth effect? Because they don't understand it well enough. And that video from Investopedia perfectly illustrates how their view of this reverse wealth effect is incomplete. Therefore, there's a significant probability that by trying to create...
So if you're gonna create in deflation, but oh my God, you would have to overshoot quite heavily to create deflation, right? So you would have to hike interest rates quite high in order to get deflation.
The reverse wealth effect, again, they overshoot. So inflation doesn't go from 8.6% down to 2%. It goes from 8.6% potentially down to -2% or -3%, which is consistent with the inflation that we saw in the 1940s. In 1947, inflation
That's high,
got
bro. How would you guys feel about that level of inflation? Like, would that make you feel good? Like, how many cash shop mounts are you going to purchase if inflation got there? Inflation? Why are we talking about that My Little Pony game? Oh, Aragos, because Sun Goddess thought that I needed My Little Pony in my life. Thrall's Mama gave me a really good game. She gave me God of War, and I love that. Sun Goddess kind of redeemed herself with Starship Troopers, but she did fuck herself a little with My Little Pony. You know, I've kind of forgiven her with the Starship Troopers game, but I'm still a little upset about the My Little Pony thing. Thrall's Mama, what am I supposed to do? Your name is Thrall's Mama. I just assumed. I'm sorry. To me, you're all basically sexless. I literally look at the name and I go, all right, there we go. That's I just focus on the name, and if the name sounds female to me, I go, right, this must be a girl. Although, in saying that, we should probably also recognize the fact that there are no girls on the internet, so I should probably just call everyone dude. I'm not old enough to remember the effects, but they raised interest rates close to that in the 1980s in the US to get inflation under control. When was the... You wish you were a girl, Thrall's Mama. Why, though? I would never want to be a fucking girl. It's a hard life being a fucking girl. It would not be easier. I highly doubt that. Dude, girls have like fucking once a month life turns into hell. I would fucking loathe that. The pain once a month. It's a ticking time bomb. You know that it's coming. It's gonna happen every single fucking month. No. That's not good. And also they have to give birth. That's a big fucking nope from me. There is no way that I would give birth to fucking anything in my life. That would be a pain that I would not bring upon myself fucking ever. When do girls play games? Never. Yeah, but a lot of girls will give birth. So, yeah, no, fuck that.
All the way up to 19.5%.
That's high.
2 to 3 years later, it was all the way down to -3. In other words, we went from 19.
A lot of countries no longer do cesareans.
Inflation to 3%.
My country wants to fucking outlaw it.
Deflation. Step number 2. Oh, but wait, there is more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our deflation argument doesn't end with what we went over in step number 1. Let's go back a little bit in time. So we discussed Moody buying a house, let's just say in Phoenix, and all of the economic activity that happened.
My country wants to... So South Africa has an incredibly high level of cesareans. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The vast majority of women in South Africa deliver with surgery, not naturally. My country is on a massive push to try and change that. So they basically want to outlaw cesarean unless medically necessary. So unless you have some medical condition that forces you to have a cesarean, they want you to use a wet nurse. They want you to they want you to give a natural birth, even though most women in South Africa don't want natural births. This is what my country wants to push for. JMO, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel, bro. Thank you. I'm having trouble taking this gentleman seriously. He doesn't wear a tie and he's wearing a pink shirt. Dude, the guy is really smart, though. I do like his videos a lot. I watch his videos all the fucking time. So I was born. Oh, wait, I get it now. C-sections do not allow the child's immunity system progress naturally. I was a C-section. All of my brothers were C-sections, and I am fucking fantastic.
Because home prices were going up and up and up. And then we discussed about how the economic activity would decline if home prices start to go down, because all of this that you're seeing here would not have happened in the first place. If we go back to the GFC, most of you remember that all of that economic activity decreased. It contracted massively. And I would argue back then, our economy wasn't near as dependent on asset prices as it is today. So let's think through what probably happened with Moody prior to...
To be fair, I don't own
them.
pink shirts, and I
And
would
for
never
those of
own
you
a
who are
pink
new to the
shirt,
channel,
so I'm right there
I
with
say
you,
this
Swanky
because
Tiger.
I don't know Moody's preferred pronouns, and any good millennial out there will demand that you know their preferred pronouns. So anyway,
Chased
Moody
hair?
starts off
Why the
back
fuck would
here
you want
in,
chased hair,
of
Saving
course,
Raven?
California. And Moody is a school teacher. Of course they are, because you definitely want Moody teaching your kids all of the things that they were spoon-fed and brainwashed by when they got their degree in liberal arts. But anyway, I'm going off on a
You
tangent
think,
here.
wait,
So,
you think chased hair makes you more of a man? Mandatory, but it's nice when it's available. Dude, I have like 4 chest hair. That's it. I'm not hairy at all. I have 4 chest hair, no back hair, very little hair on my arms, very little hair on my legs. I don't think chest hair makes you more of a fucking man, by the way. I highly disagree with that. If you own a red shirt and a white shirt, the propensity to own a pink shirt may be out of your hands. That's only if you don't know how to wash it, though, Danger Duff. Needs a gold chain, chest hair, and really strong cologne. Then I will trust his financial advice. Why does that... Why? To say this, but a lot of the guys wax their chests today. Dude, I waxed my legs once when I was, like, younger in college. I will never fucking do that again. In my life, it is the most pain I have ever been in. It is horrible. Like, fucking horrible. My pronouns are His Illustrious Grand Majesty Emperor of Man and my liege. Mine's just God.
Moody in 2012 making 50 grand a year. They buy a house in California, say in the Bay Area somewhere. That
Why
seems
would you
fitting
buy a
for
house
Moody.
in California,
And
though?
they buy a house for, let's say, $300,000, something like that. But in 2021, the
Can you buy a
value,
house in the Bay
price
Area for
of the
$300,000?
house has gone from $300,000 up to $1.3 million.
Uh-huh.
So Moody sells the house, nets $1 million, and then buys this house in Phoenix that we went over in example number 1. But they only use about $100,000 for a down payment to buy this new house. So they have a net gain of $900,000 of additional purchasing power. But let's remember that Moody is still a school teacher making $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
So how has she or they received this additional purchasing power? It's by asset prices going up and the banks contributing to that by lending more and more and more money, creating more currency units to buy
We're
homes
fucked,
that are going
dude.
up and up and up
We
in
are
value.
so fucked.
So now let's assume Moody takes the additional 900 in purchasing power and uses
It's all the banks, man.
$400,000 to spend and $500,000 to invest. So they go on Instagram and they see all of their friends buying Sprinter vans and traveling across the country in pure luxury and bliss, taking all of these photos and selfies of themselves standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon or going to Niagara Falls and just living out of their $150,000 Sprinter van. And they say to themselves,
yeah,
is
it's all
the
Moody's
life
fault,
that
bro.
I
Fuck
want.
Moody.
So this $400,000 goes into this lifestyle and buying.
Digimark, I've heard that Johnson is retiring. I'm not entirely sure if he will actually retire or step down, resign. Retire is probably not the right word. I'm not sure.
Let's say. So there's $500,000 left that
He already
they
quit?
wisely
I only saw rumors before we started streaming. When did he actually quit?
want to invest. So of course they go to Mr. Ross Gerber. He is the man in California, especially in Silicon Valley. He takes all the money from all the Google workers and the Apple workers, and he says, I will invest
Monk Stan, how you doing, bro?
for you. They say, Ross, what are you going to invest in? He says, whatever it is that you like. That's what I'm going to invest in. Well, what about a return? Yeah, I don't care about that. Because all I care about is assets under management. So we've got this sign here, Ross saying, I love assets under management. But maybe what that sign could say is, I love whatever it is you want me to love. I think Ross could have had a very successful career as a politician. But getting back to the story here. So Ross takes the $500,000 he got from Moody and he gives it to Startup Steve, who has just created a business model.
Dude, I'm so lost right now in this fucking video.
It's going to change the world.
I have no idea where we are now. We've spoken about so many fucking things so far. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Dog walking app is now valued at $150 billion.
Wait, there's an app to walk your fucking dog?
Table, and he goes in, spends that, and of course his workers and everything here that we discussed in this example number one with housing would increase the purchasing power of everyone involved in this ecosystem as well. So it becomes very clear how if asset prices go down significantly for a sustained period of time, all of these dollars going into the real economy would simply disappear. So you've got this dollar gone. Well, it's going to take a long time, so editor, maybe help me out with that. But all of these dollars disappear. Therefore, economic activity plummets. And we can see a good example of this right now with the crypto space.
I figured out where we are. So he's trying to describe that the first step that he explained with the video and how the video sort of explains, what happens in inflation and deflation and all the rest of it and how houses create value. He's now trying to explain, there's more to this. So the problem is that the Fed, because that video comes from the Fed understands the first part of the equation. They understand how inflation is created in that sense, but they don't understand the second part of it, which is it's not just the case of Moody bought a house, the house went up in value, so now Moody wants to spend more, or the house went down in value, so Moody wants to spend less. It also impacts the rest of the economy. So even the economy that has nothing to do with housing. So even the guys like Ross, for example, Ross doesn't do anything with houses. Ross is an investor. Even Ross is impacted by the house. Americas, how you doing, bro? D&D character and some research for some details for this. Amon, how you doing, brother? Have a nice day. I don't know if you're leaving or if you're just arriving.
You guys have been reading the news, I'm sure, where Terra Luna crashes, Celsius crashes, and all these other hedge funds and crypto platforms are either going out of business or suspending trading, suspending redemptions of your cryptocurrency that they have. Why?
Dude, crypto? If you're still in crypto, you have giant kahunas, fucking giant testicles. I don't know why anyone would still be in crypto. Good day, I missed the whole stream. Saj, Raza, how you doing, brother? Cryptocurrency was and still is just a phase. I don't know if crypto is going to remain a phase, because I've heard good arguments for and against crypto, especially as people keep losing sort of faith in the monetary system. Crypto could have a future, but I think crypto as it exists right now is a fucking scam.
Because they are paying out these massive interest rates, 10%, 15%, even 20%. Well, how are they making those returns? Because they were lending them, those cryptocurrencies that you own, to other financial entities that would take them and be happy to pay the 20% or 25% because they thought crypto would always go up and up and up. But what happens?
The fallacy of the market.
Goes down, then the whole house of cards comes crashing down with it.
Yeah.
So my point is the economy that we have built in the United States is very similar to that crypto ecosystem that has absolutely collapsed in a deflationary death spiral. So the main takeaway from step number 1 and number 2 is we have the Federal Reserve here that we know is trying to create the reverse wealth effect. But in my opinion, they don't
Yeah, I'm no longer in
understand
crypto.
the degree to which that wealth effect impacts
I got out before
the
it crashed,
United
though.
States.
So I
they've
won.
got all their nifty models.
I made some money off of it.
That say that if they bring down asset prices by 30%, and I'm just using these numbers as an example, that unemployment will increase, let's say, to 6%, CPI goes down to 3%. But what if they overshoot? Because again, they don't understand how powerful the wealth effect is for the US economy. So asset prices actually come down by 40% because of raising interest rates, quantitative tightening, whatever it is they're doing to bring them down in the first place. Then unemployment, let's say, goes up to 15%.
So,
bringing
Patlin, what's gonna end up happening, and this is something that Jim Rickards actually spoke about. So what's gonna happen is the Federal Reserve is going to continue hiking rates, right? So they're gonna push rates up and up because they want to get inflation under control. What's then gonna happen is the market is gonna have an absolute fucking meltdown, right? Because the economy, in order to get inflation under control, you have to crash the economy. It's the only way to get inflation under control. Right now, the reason inflation is as high as it is because there's far too many people that want products and there's not enough products coming. So products are in short supply, which means, it's going to cost more for all products. So the way you can stop that as a Federal Reserve is by crashing the economy. So by raising interest rates, people lose their jobs. As people lose their jobs, they have less money to spend. And because people have less money to spend, there's lower demand for products. So the demand can reach sort of equilibrium with supply. And the way you really fix it is by allowing for less demand than there is actual supply. So that's what the Federal Reserve is trying to achieve here. Is they're basically trying to crash the economy. Now, because the Federal Reserve has a two-part mandate, Fudgy Monkey, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. So the Federal Reserve is one of the few places in the world that has a two-stage mandate. The first stage of their mandate is to ensure that inflation does not go too high. That's fine. That's most other central banks. The other part is to ensure that unemployment remains as low as possible. These two mandates can't exist together. There's no way, because in order to get inflation under control, you almost inevitably have to create unemployment. So the Federal Reserve is sort of in a weird spot where it's going to have to betray one of its mandates in order to achieve one, at least. It can't achieve both. Not when the economy is fucked, and especially not... They can't really continue printing money. They've already printed way too much money. Because that's really the only other way to stop inflation is just by printing yourself out of it. So you just keep printing a lot of money and hope that inflation goes away on its own. So what they're going to do here is effectively, yes, they're going to over-tighten. What's going to happen is you're going to have a taper tantrum, as happened in 2016, 2017. The Fed is then going to reverse policy, and they're actually going to go, okay, never mind, fuck it. Right? We'll lower it again. Now, what ends up happening when you have deflation, this is when your money actually gains value. So basically what this means is if you have $100 today, by next year, that $100 is worth more than what it was like a year ago. The reason that is horrible for an economy is suddenly saving money becomes a much better option. Like, don't put your money in stocks, don't buy stuff, just keep the cash. So basically, economic activity grinds to a fucking halt. No one wants to spend money because your money's going to be worth next year more than what it was this year. So it ends up crashing an economy as well. Deflation is just as bad as fucking inflation at the end of the day. Monks, then you bastard. Thanks for the 5 community subs. Did really appreciate that. Thank you. Vlach, how you doing? Can we get some hearts in chat? 5 of you fuckers now have a sub as well. Monkstain, really appreciate that, brother.
The overall CPI, as measured by the government.
Wait a second. Is that real? Nvidia have been subbed for 4 months in a row. Is all of that from gifted subs? That's incredible. No one spends money. Small businesses die. People lose jobs. Can't spend money. Yeah, that's effectively what happens there, right? Man, I just want to survive, live my life, and play video games. Lol, this is depressing. Swanky Tiger, you and me both. We, the people that just want to live our lives, we want to be happy. We want other people to be happy. We don't want to interfere with anyone. We're getting fucked by government and by corporations that have acted irresponsibly, and we're going to end up paying the price. You think Bobby, what's his name? Powell. Jerome Powell. You think Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve is going to suffer as a result of inflation or deflation? No. You think the politicians are going to suffer because of the fucked up economy? No. You think Bobby Kotick is going to suffer because of the fucked up economy? No. The people that's going to suffer is me and you. The people that just want to get a decent salary, live a decent life, have a house, have a car, go on holiday maybe once a year, and for the rest of the time just play video games and, sort of go to barbecues and stuff like that. Those are the people. The normal people are the ones that get fucked here.
Negative 1%, meaning deflation. Step number 3, Jerome Powell has a decision to make, and it's all about legacy. Yeah. Does he want to be remembered as Arthur Burns or Paul Volcker? Okay. Most of you probably don't even know who Arthur Burns was.
I have no idea.
And to a certain extent, that's my point. But Arthur Burns was the Fed chair during the 1970s, and he is very well known for saying that inflation was transitory. He changed the CPI, he omitted things, and he kept claiming that there were these certain reasons we were going to have inflation, but eventually the CPI was going to come back down until 1975, where he had to admit that it was
Does that
true.
sound familiar?
Was here
Jerome
to stay.
Powell also said it's transitory.
That, Paul Volcker coming in and having the guts, the balls to break the back of inflation. This is how history remembers these 2 gentlemen.
Oh, I'll tell you guys, because I don't know if he's going to go into it. Paul Volcker, you want to know what he did? He raised interest rates to 18.5%. He just fucking, he just went, okay, screw it. I think inflation at the time in the US was something like 16%. And he just raised the rates to 18.5% and just said, fuck it. Yes, there's going to be a recession. Yes, I'm crashing the economy, but fuck it. We have to get inflation under control because it doesn't really matter. People who think, oh my God, you can't crash the economy, so many people are going to lose their jobs. You're a fucking moron if you think that losing your job is worse than inflation. Because you want to know what happens with inflation? Even if you have a job, you can't fucking pay for anything because it's too goddamn expensive. Everything just keeps growing. So it's better in the short term for people to just lose their jobs, for the economy to reset, for inflation to go down, and then to try and get it back, to try and solve an issue of runaway hyperinflation. Volcker, not Walker. No, Digimark. Anyone living on credit is homeless at 18%? Yeah, that is very true. Credit is going to fuck you at 18%. But inflation will fuck you even harder, right? Look at the gas prices. People can barely afford gas to get to work and then to eat. And it's going to get worse, right? We need people to retire at a more useful position. Rehire at a more useful position. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. It's going to be interesting to see how the world deals with this bout, right?
I can promise you, when you're getting into your 60s and your 70s, as a gentleman that is worth over $100 million, money isn't that big of a deal. At a certain point, you start thinking about your legacy and how is history going to remember me?
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you, Jerome Powell has 2 images in his mind right now. 1, Arthur Burns,
Fuck back and
2, Paul Volcker. So let me ask all the gentlemen watching this video right now.
Trickstar, I would not be so sure. It's dropping now, but all of the economists are all saying this drop is expected. They knew it was going to drop, but it is going to rise again. It's nowhere near its peak. Nowhere near. People don't understand what inflation does. It's the same thing where people are going, oh my God, the stock market. So twice last week, people went, the stock market has bottomed out, it's going back up. Because twice last week, what ended up happening is the stock market drops, and then it stops, it trades sideways for a bit, and then it actually goes up a bit. And people are like, oh my God, here we go. It's going up again. We're going to be fine. It only goes up for a little while, and then it drops again. But this time it drops lower to where it previously sort of sideways traded. This is normal within a market crash. Recessions don't happen all at once. It's not like just one day, bam, bam, everything goes up and down. It's more a case of it goes down a bit, then it sort of bottoms out, then it goes up a bit, then it comes down again, then it comes up again. And the fuel price is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to come down a little bit, and then it's going to stop, and then it's going to shoot up again, but it's always going to shoot up higher than the previous high. It's just going to continuously do that until it either explodes or we get inflation under control. Like, one of those two things has to happen. Either it's going to explode or it's going to get brought under control at some point. But we're nowhere near the peak of this thing. Like, nowhere near. Because nothing has changed yet. The Russian war is still going on. The world is still boycotting fuel and oil exports from Russia. So there's still less oil than there is demand for oil. Which means what has changed in the economy to even make you think that it's peaked and it's now only going to come down? Nothing's changed. The things that led to the increase in oil prices is still all there. They've not gone away. So to think that it's peaked and it's now just going to come down, something else would have had to have happened in order for this to ultimately change. Nothing has changed yet. It's all still the same equation. And it's actually just going to get worse because right now the world is still technically importing from Russia. Like, no one has quit importing oil from Russia. But if those oil imports do eventually come into effect, it's probably going to get a hell of a lot worse.
Would you rather be remembered as the guy on the right or the guy on the left?
Dude, that guy is smoking that cigarette like a fucking
joking,
boss.
But it's true. In fact, whenever I see that picture on the left, what's funny is I always...
Tridning, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat, dude. Really appreciate that. It's speculative. The mod can change it, but I wouldn't trust that. That's true. So there is actually the one thing, but this you sort of need trust for. But there is a sort of... Okay, first, yes, speculative demand can absolutely have a change in that. But there's also the thing of the psychological thoughts, right? And the psychological impact of things. So if you could manage to convince people that there's nothing to be afraid of, you could stop a recession, technically speaking. Because recessions are just psychological reactions. People get spooked and then they stop spending their money. We just discussed this earlier. And they usually happen for good reasons. They usually do happen because, governments were printing way too much money and, there's wars going on, so people are a little bit more afraid. So there's actual things that impact that decision, but the ultimate thing that leads to recessions is usually psychological because of bad governance and all the rest of it. So you could technically have a sort of, they could speculate that they need more than what they actually need, and then they overproduce, and that overproduction then leads to greater supply than actual demand, which will drop the price. That would be a good thing. But right now, the reason I don't trust that is because most of the OPEC nations, the nations that do produce oil, they're benefiting greatly from increased oil prices. If anything, they're going to want to keep the oil prices as high as possible because they're making boatloads of fucking cash. They're not going to want to decrease the oil price. So we're kind of banking on scumbag nations doing the right thing, and I don't know if that's ever gonna fucking happen.
Always envision AOC asking Paul Volcker, that Paul Volcker smoking the cigar, what is he going to do specifically to help the economic conditions for the trans community. Just picture that just for a moment. What do you think Paul Volcker's response would be? But back to this video.
I don't.
think
The
it's
one
safe
thing.
to say,
So I don't really care for the guy's like social issues. I like his economy, like his economic explanations and shit. I don't give a fuck about his social issues. I don't care. But it is weird how a lot of this. So I saw an article the other day speaking about how inflation is harming the gay community. And I thought to myself, wait, inflation is harming everyone. Why would you not in your article just say inflation is harming fucking everyone? Because I don't think like gay people have a higher inflation rate than straight people do. We have the literal same amount of inflation. We're all getting fucked as a result of inflation. This is the one thing that we can all fucking unite against and say, fuck that. Whether you're gay, straight, trans, doesn't matter. We all can agree, fuck inflation. Like, this is the unifier, bro. This is the way we all get together and we fucking sit around a fire and sing Kumbaya, because fuck inflation. But no, we have to have these articles that sort of signal out a group that's completely arbitrary. Because if you're going to write an article about how inflation is harming the gay community, then you could write an article saying how the inflation is harming the white community, how inflation is harming white men, how inflation is harming white women, how inflation is harming black men, how inflation is harming black women, how inflation is harming trans women, how inflation is harming trans men, how inflation is harming children, how inflation is harming pets, and all of it would be fucking true, because for every single breathing human being on the planet, inflation is a fucking problem at the moment. Like, there's no, I don't think it's hard. The only group that I would say you could probably write an article on who would probably be a hell of a lot worse or worsely affected by inflation would be old people. I think if you're above sort of 60, 65, if you're retired, I think inflation is going to fucking wreck you, especially if you're poorer. Now, actually, there's two groups. And Maxitor, thank you so much for mentioning that. There's two groups. The one is older people. The other is poor people. If you are already poor, this is going to fuck you. You are wrecked. Because there's nothing you do not have anything to fall back on. You have nothing. So it is going to be harsh on the poor. Those are the only two groups that we should actually give a fuck about, are those groups, because we need to figure out how do we help those two groups survive this. Everyone else is in the same boat. We're all fucked equal.
that if he could choose, Jerome Powell would want to be remembered as someone like Paul Volcker, someone that had the intestinal fortitude to do
Not
what
like
is
true,
right.
but also,
Okay, let's
I mean,
check out this
food
chart.
is going to be
Goes all the way
fucking
back
hard.
to 1966.
It's going to impact you, King Julian.
2020. This is a chart of the R-star interest rate. And I'll go into why this is so important in just a moment.
The hell is
But
the
on the left,
R-star
we go
interest
from
rate?
0% up to 6%. So call it 64, 65, it's up at 6%. And then it
What's
goes down,
R-star?
pretty much trends all the way down to where we are today, or where we were in 2020, because they stopped publishing this.
Does anyone know
let's
what
say
R-star inflation is?
0.5% or 50 basis points.
Is that that's the American, like, see the Jabara, things microtransaction on Diablo Immortal is not a bad thing. Oliveris, yes, we already covered that. Yes, absolutely. R-star inflation rate, though. It's the R-star rate. So R-star would mean something else, though. I'm assuming this is your... In South Africa, it's called the prime lending rate, I think. And that's the official interest rate of the central bank. It's the prime lending rate. So from that, banks then work out their own interest rates that you're going to, like, consumers are going to pay. So I'm assuming R-star rate is just, that's the official rate from the federal government sort of thing.
So going back to what this is one of the key models that the Fed uses to try to determine what real rates should be.
Okay.
Specifically,
it's the real rate.
All right. But obviously, that's very correlated.
Trickstar, that's what you said
the
as well, I
overnight
think.
Fed funds rate. And I say what it quote unquote should be. So in their minds, they're trying to determine at what rate of real interest is the economy at a perfect level, where you're maximizing on employment, you're keeping the unemployment rate as low as possible, while at the same time, you're creating a monetary condition or environment for the CPI inflation to be relatively low, let's say 2% or 3%. So going back to 1980-81, and this is key.
R-star, Patty Lynn, thank you so much. R-star is the real neutral rate of interest that equilibrates the economy in the long run. Less formally, it is the real interest rate that is neither expansionary nor contractionary when the economy is at full employment. So it assumes 100% employment.
This is when Volcker took rates up high enough to smash inflation or to break the back of inflation. R-star was around 4%.
Okay.
And if you remember, Paul Volcker took the Fed funds rate up to about 18%. So let's just say
rough, dude.
Back
18% means that your house goes up to 20, probably 21, depending on what you get, prime plus what. That fucks people right up the butthole. No loop.
Math here. The CPI was running at 14%. R-star was 4%, and this is most likely why Paul Volcker took rates up to 18.
Oh, Patlin, that is the smartest thing you can do. If you want to buy a house right now, fucking fix it. Like, get it fixed. Because if you have a fixed interest rate, sure, fixed has a lot of downsides, at least in South Africa. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. But for example, if you have a fixed interest rate in South Africa, you can't lend against your house. So if you wanted to open a business, you can't go to the bank and say, hey, give me, I want to borrow, say, 500,000 Rand because I want to open a business. The bank will just go, no, you're on a fixed interest rate. We're not lending you fuck all, right? If you want to borrow against your house, you have to be on a sort of, like, what's it called in English? Like a adjustable rate. That's the only way you can borrow against your home. But if you are, during massive inflation, on a fixed home loan, if everything goes up, it means your money is also going to go up even more, right? You're also going to get more money. Eventually, your business or your job is going to pay you more, and you're actually going to be able to pay off your house so much easier because your interest rate and the amount of money that you have to pay back to the bank remains fixed at, say, $1,000 a month, but your income have, say, gone from 10,000 to 40,000 because of, like, interest rate or inflation explosion, because your company is charging more for products, they're paying more for salaries and shit like that, and people's demanding more salaries, all the crap. So you actually get to pay off your house that much quicker just because, you're fucking going apeshit. The dollar is debt-based currency. Technically speaking, if enough Americans default on their loans, the dollar would crash irrelevant of the rest of the market and its trust. I think, isn't the whole world right now basically debt-backed or debt-based? Refinanced my mortgage to 3.75% years ago, and it's fixed. Trickstar. Buying a house right now? Swanky Tiger, you could. There's a lot of rich people. So I watch a couple of, like, super rich people whenever they talk about, like, finances on YouTube. And the super rich right now are making an incredible amount of debt. Like, they are going out of their way to make as much debt as possible because during inflation, debt is king. If you have debt that you have to pay back at a specific interest rate and you manage to get that debt fixed, you win. Because inflation just means more money to actually pay back all of that. So people get fucking stupid rich during inflationary times. You just need to know what you're doing.
15%. Again, remember, this R star is what the real rate of interest should be, meaning the rate of interest above and beyond consumer price inflation. So now that we understand that this is one of the main models the Fed uses, let's think about it in terms of what we're dealing with today. So the CPI is 8.6%. So if
that's quite high, but
PhDs at the Fed, including Jerome Powell, and if Jerome Powell wants his legacy to be Paul Volcker instead of Arthur Burns, in his mind, he's thinking that the Fed funds rate needs to be at 9.1%.
That's rough already.
The one-year Treasury would have to be at 9.1%, which would mean Fed funds would have to be very close to that rate of interest. Now, I'm not saying that Jerome Powell is going to take it that high, but I am saying that most likely he's going to try to take it a lot higher. He's going to try to take it to a point where potentially it could crush asset prices inadvertently and crush the economy to the point where we could see deflation. To take it to the next step, let's go to the internet and see how even in the Fed's own words, they admit this R star tool, if you will, is a very blunt instrument that can have massive unintended consequences. This is from the Dallas Fed's own website when they're discussing the R star rate, or the neutral rate, as it's sometimes called. Despite the fact that judging the level of the neutral rate is inherently uncertain and imprecise, many of us at the Federal Reserve pay close attention to the various models that seek to estimate this rate. The reason is that despite the relatively wide confidence bands around these estimates, they can provide an indication, albeit what? Imperfect.
Why do they always write things so fucking weird, dude? Just say shit, like in normal speak.
So they're admitting to you that this key
You could probably condense that entire entire paragraph down to a sentence.
Their words, not mine. So is it a stretch to believe that Jerome Powell will take rates up to a point where he breaks something? I think everybody agrees on that. But the level where he breaks something is far too high. They overshoot the goal, which takes us back to the process.
It's so that normal fucks like us don't understand
step
it.
Number one and step number two. Let me be very, very clear. I am not saying that we will see deflation in the United States. This is not a prediction. My base case is that we see some disinflation, meaning the level of inflation going down slightly in Q3, maybe Q4, and then they come back in with monetary policy and fiscal, and we see another wave of inflation, meaning the CPI going higher and higher. But I think there is
as soon as we get Final Fantasy done,
a possibility that is far above a 0% probability that we do see deflation, and something very similar to what we saw in the 1940s.
Dude, this is scary shit. Like, the life is scary right now.
0.5%.
Why the fuck was I born in this era? God damn it.
I think every single one of you watching this video right now would say that the Fed is prone to making errors. Maybe you would go so far to say that they're all idiots. They're all morons.
I would say that.
Fine. Yeah. Well, if they're morons and idiots that can cause inflation, maybe, just maybe, they're idiots and morons that can inadvertently cause deflation as well. For more content,
I agree
that'll
with
help you build wealth and thrive in a world of...
I mean, like I said, it's scary to me that this is what we're heading towards. And the thing I think that scares me is the fact that no one seems to know. I follow a lot of economists, and some more mathematical than others. Like, this guy is the least mathematical guy. He tends to just break things down in a way that helps you understand it. But almost none of them, like all of them agree things are about to get really fucking bad. But none of them seem to be able to agree on just how fucking bad things are about to fucking get. Or how it's gonna get that bad. Because there's like inflation or deflation or interest rates crushing the economy into a recession, ultimately leading to depressions. It's everyone seems to have a different idea of how things are about to get fucked. It's just that no one really knows how, like, exactly what is going to fuck everything. And that means that you can't plan for anything. You can't say... Because if it's inflation, there's ways that you can actually plan to make money out of an inflationary scenario. If it's deflation, just literally keep everything in cash and you'll make money out of a deflationary scenario. If it's stagflation, it becomes harder, but it can still be done. If it's recession... I'm sure there's ways to do it with recessions. Depressions, on the other hand, that could be the one that I don't know how many people would be able to survive that. In Eurozone, nobody talk about that, and we sit on the 8% inflation, and EU Central Bank raising interest rates by 8%. It's rare as fuck. Yeah, it's the first time in like 20 years, I think. Buy gold and hold for now. Gold is probably your best bet, actually. I say without being too optimistic, I would say another 5-10 years until then. I don't know. I don't think we're going to continue going like this for 5 to 10 years. I think things are going to happen literally end of this year, probably next year. We're going to enter into a full global recession. And I think this is going to be the recession that lasts the longest. Mainly because all the previous ones, they artificially stopped it. So basically they just started printing a crap ton of fucking money, and this alleviated any recession fears. The issue is no bank in the world is currently in a position to print more money. They've already printed themselves into fuck during the COVID pandemic. No amount of printing is going to fix this, because in 2008, printing money, 1.6 trillion, giving that to the banks, solved the problem. You had no demand issues or supply chain issues. There were more than enough products. People were just a little scared. And of course, the economy was busy crashing. So more money into the economy just meant people were now great and everything was fine. Even if you print more money now, so even if you go and you print $10 trillion, 10 trillion extra dollars does not put toilet paper in the shop. It does not increase the oil supply that you have. So $10 trillion is just going to mean that those prices are going to skyrocket even more. Because previously, maybe only 10 million people needed toilet paper, and you already only had enough toilet paper for 8 million. Now you've printed $10 trillion. Now 20 million people want toilet paper, but you still just have 8 million fucking toilet paper. You can't give 20 million people. So printing money is just going to lead to an even bigger fucking inflation bubble, because you still have the same amount of product, but you now have more people that want the fucking product. This is one of those that the economy is finally coming home to roost. We've tried to print ourselves out of recessions because no one wants to be the president that oversees a recession. No one wants their legacy to end on a recession. This is why George W. Bush gave the $1.9 trillion or $1.6 trillion to the banks after the 2008 crash. Because why wouldn't you? Do you want to be the president that leaves office having crashed the US economy? Of fucking course not. This is why Barack Obama during 2014, 2013 ultimately caved and directed the Fed to once again start lowering rates, because again, you don't want to be the president that oversees a recession. Donald Trump in 2016 also started printing money. When COVID happened, started printing crazy money, because you don't want to be the president that oversees a recession. You will go down in history as being blamed for the recession. This is why Biden keeps printing money, because no one wants to. The problem for Biden is, I think the economy have reached the point where you can't print yourself out of it. So Biden is going to be the guy that goes down in history as being the reason for the recession. He's going to be blamed for it. And As much as I don't like Biden because he's a fucking politician, I don't like any politicians, this isn't his fault. It's not his fault. This is not even the fault of Russia and Ukraine. This is a fault that started in 1999 with the tech bubble crisis. When the tech bubble burst, we printed money in order to fix it. That was Bill Clinton, if I'm not mistaken. Then in 2008, when the housing market happened, we printed money in order to stop that from happening. That was George W. Bush. So Democrats, Republicans, both equally fucking guilty. The bubbles kept popping, meaning that the markets are sick. There's a sickness within the market. The bubbles are popping because the sickness is accelerating. And what do? We print more money to create more bubbles. So we're basically giving the disease, the sick patient more of the fucking disease to try and heal the sick patient. I think the patient is terminal now. The problem is humans are stupid. So Biden is going to go down in history as the guy that caused the greatest recession in the history of fucking America. And no one's going to look towards Bush, towards Clinton, towards Obama, Trump. No, well, some people might blame Trump because he's blamed for everything else. But at the end of the day, no one's going to realize that this is a problem that started long before Biden even reached office. Biden is basically just the fall guy now. He's getting ready to be blamed for everything and go down in history as the worst president that the United States have ever seen because so many people are going to get fucked. And everyone's calling for him to fix things. How? How do you fix something that you didn't create? Nor is there even a fix. Like, no one knows how to fix this. The fix is a recession. But you're trying to not have a recession. So how do you not have a recession when the only cure for the disease is the recession? Kind of fucked, right? Environmentally included investment bankers keep creating hype bubbles around markets that will never manifest, especially not at the rate that these lunatics desire. Knights, the issue is, if you print money, that money goes to investment bankers that, you know, it's not your money. You can do whatever you want, right? And most of these investment banks know that they are too big to fail, so they have nothing to lose. What should have happened after 2008 is that all of those investment bankers should have been fucking sued and taken to jail and should have closed down. Yes, it would have shocked the American economy. The world economy would have gone into a massive recession, but new banks would have come up, new bankers would have come up, and this time they would probably be a little bit smarter than the ones that ultimately crashed the economy. At the end of the day, no one got into trouble. Only one bank, as far as you know, went bankrupt. Everyone else just kept making money as if nothing had ever fucking happened. We created this problem. Well, not we. They created this problem. The sad part is we're fucking paying for it. It feels good, right? It feels great. We're going to be the ones paying for it. While Biden, Trump, Barack Obama, Bush, while they're going to live in their mansions and they're going to count the money in their bank accounts and probably going to write more books and shit like that, the normal guy on the street, the normal guy that had nothing to do with any of this, we're going to be the ones to get fucking wrecked. And then they're going to be the ones, the rich people are going to be the ones that say, hey, we have the answer. We can save you. And it's going to sort of like, dude, you got us here. I don't need you saving me. If this is what saving me looks like, fucking let me drown. I don't need you any longer. Just leave me the fuck alone. But they're going to have the answer because they always have the fucking answer, even though, you know, they're the reason the problem exists in the first place. It's a fucking nightmare, and we are all just unwilling participants in this fucking game that is called Fuck Everyone. Oh my god. One can only laugh at this shit. We need to use our own oil, not send to others. Talking about printing money in Germany is becoming a pain, regardless to have money in the ATM to get cash. All the debit card machines haven't been working because of an outdated version, etc. We've had a lot of banking outages as well here in South Africa, which is kind of weird. Like almost every single bank is having a bank outage for the last 2 weeks. Every few days, it just goes tits up. So I'm not entirely sure what the fuck's going on there, if anything, really. We'll probably have to wait and see. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, my power is going out literally in 10 minutes. So I'm going to love you and leave you. It's been fun. Hey, we at least got about almost 4 hours of stream today. That's an hour better than yesterday. So I think that's good. We're Roku. Thank you for the follow, dude. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The deal with the power. Okay, so very quickly, my country does not produce enough electricity to serve the whole country with electricity all at the same time. So we're on a thing that's basically rolling blackouts. So my power goes off for 2.5 hours now, and then it goes back off again tonight at 10 o'clock. So it comes back at 8, and then I have power for like 2 hours, and then it goes off again. So yeah, I basically live my life in about 2 to 4 hour chunks at the moment. And this has been going since 2008, so it has nothing to do with the oil crisis, even though my government just tried a while ago to blame it on the Russia-Ukraine stuff, saying, oh my God, diesel is so expensive, we can't afford to keep buying diesel. I'm like, dude, Russia did not invade Ukraine in 2008. Let's not try to blame shit here that should not be blamed. This is a problem that you created in 2008, so shut the fuck up trying to find an easy fix here. This is because of your incompetence and your stealing. But anyways, I love you guys. I'm going to see you tomorrow once again. I think it's same time, same place tomorrow. Let me just check. Let me just make sure. Oh my God, we're just pushed to stage 5 again. Fuck my life, dude. Hold up, let me just check what time I'm off tomorrow. So tomorrow, if nothing changes and we stay on stage 4, or stage 5, yeah, exactly same time tomorrow as today. So about 4 hours ago. That's when you have to be here, so we can... tomorrow we'll watch some Warhammer stuff, and... yeah, I want to watch some Warhammer videos. We still have the part 2 that we have to watch, and get your videos in. If you want me to react to any videos, go over to Discord, link it there in the content suggestions page, and we'll watch all of that shit tomorrow. We need a fundraise for your solar. It's right there. The house deposit thing is actually the solar fund. If you want to give money, I'm obviously going to fucking take your money, but spend that money on yourself. Do something good for yourself. Let me just fucking struggle with my shit. This is not your shit. But yeah, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. Be good to each other. And I will see all of you tomorrow, 4 hours ago. Peace out, fam.